When you search on the internet for time travel, it's very limited, and the stories are basically the same stories about individuals traveling back to 2030, and there are very few first-hand accounts. They're always cut short. There's never any details or descriptions about exactly how they did it or why they did it. And then there's not a lot of proof of people witnessing time travel, like seeing someone else time travel or speaking directly to a time traveler or interviewing a time traveler or even listening or interviewing or relating the story of someone else who has come into contact with a time traveler or a time traveler event and relaying it as first-hand knowledge. Time travel has sort of been elusive. It's something that can't really be proven due to the nature of time travel. So, say for instance, if you do an expose on time travel and expose it in every way, in all of its parts, someone, if time travel or some entity, if time travel truly does exist, can come back and erase it, obviously. So the issue of time travel, let's get into it. This is the reason that I personally feel that time travel videos on YouTube and articles are not only not in heavy demand, but aren't heavily represented, don't really exist. A, it's hard to prove, and B, no one believes you. So, A is self-explanatory. There's not a lot of video evidence, there's not a lot of physical evidence, and even if there was, what could you bring from the future that could be proven that it's from the future to people who are in the past who haven't experienced the future yet? And also, any predictions that you can come back and make, unless it's like super detailed, covering each and every grain of salt. I mean, like, how can you really prove it? There's really no real evidence of time travel. Especially with the technology of today, you can, I would say, go back to the past and take pictures as your now self with past people and past landscapes, but no, not everyone is going to believe that as well. It's just like, what kind of proof can you really have? So, yeah, we need to work on that. Let's move on to B. No one believes you. If an individual experiences time travel, the first person you tell is usually the person closest to you. If this person doesn't have a basic I would say knowledge, belief, or interest in these sort of things, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to believe you. And if the first person you tell doesn't believe you, and this first person is pretty much representative of the rest of, the world, which is closed-minded to unseen things, then it's only going to be the tip of the iceberg of what type of pushback you're going to receive if you reveal it to a wider audience. So I think a lot of the people that encounter these sort of things keep it to themselves. And why wouldn't they? Because they feel like no one is going to believe them, and it really is hearsay. And especially if that person, might not be a perfect person, so people tend to want to look into, well, what would cause you to say something like that? But I would think the exact opposite way. Like, if this person is, like, say for instance, a high level banker who comes from a rich family, and they might come forward and say they experienced something that was paranormal or metaphysical, why would that person risk that? And also a person who might come from a different background, say like a person who had past issues with like maybe drinking or something when they were younger, or partying, and they now have like a normal life and maybe married with children or whatever. Why would they make that up and risk looking crazy in front of their children and family and friends, and being ostracized in their normal life? So I think sometimes these things should be taken at face value. Also, with time travel, it's the type of thing that once a person experiences time travel, it's something that can't be reversed, like the nuances of time travel. I'm going to go into this in another video. Once a person accepts the idea of time travel, that opens the person up to everything that time travel entails. So that would open the individual up to thinking way outside the box, accepting time travel as a given, where so you can look forward and wonder how far forward and how far back you can go. And you can also think about multiple things and think about going in parallel instead of the street just being a narrow back and forth street. You can go linear, you can go parallel, you can go horizontally, you can go zigzag, like it turns into a map. You have more options. So you're wondering if you can jump across different timelines, if you can go into parallel universes that coexist along with and at the same time as the current one. In other words, the possibilities explode and it gets limitless. And once it gets limitless, then that comes back around and it coincides with the law of the land, which can absolutely be proven just with everyday sight, that things are ever changing and nothing ever stays the same. Hence, things are fluid, wavy. So things are constantly ebbing and flowing. So why would it be so far-fetched that many different things coexist at the same time? And that's essentially what time travel is. So, in essence, to believe in time travel, you would have to essentially believe that time does not exist.